you've been struggling and perhaps you're not feeling yourself, maybe you feel like you've lost your sparkle and your mojo. I know it happened to me a while back there. And maybe you've got anxiety, as if you can't really see the bright side in things anymore. And then there's 3 areas of your life that it's really smart to look at first. Before you do anything, before you even think about going to therapy, before you even read 25 million self-help books, these 3 areas I find have the biggest impact. And the first one is sleep. How are you sleeping? And, not even how many hours are you sleeping, what is the quality of your sleep like? Because we cannot expect to function without good quality sleep. And at the end of the day, it's a bit like plugging your car or your phone in and letting it charge. If you do not do it so it can update itself, so it can, refuel, re-energize, you haven't got a hope in hell of making it through the next day. And you just wouldn't do it, would you? You wouldn't try to make a device go all day long and hammer it without actually making sure that you plugged it in and charged it fully before you were going to use it, because it would just be a pointless exercise. So that's the first thing. The second thing that you need to look at is your self-care. Now, unfortunately, the worse we feel, the more we throw self-care out the windows. I always say this, self-care is really easy when your life's going well. That's really, we need to make sure we self-care all the time. But that's really the time when you don't need it as much. When you are struggling, that's when it becomes hard, isn't it? That's when it becomes hard to put yourself first, hard to find the energy and the time to take care of yourself, perhaps in the right ways. And self-care really is doing any form of activity that has what I call a positive echo after it. So that means that you feel better after you've done it than you do while doing it. I know years and years ago, I used to think that going out partying was actually a form of self-care for me. I used to think, I need it. I need to let my hair down and I need to. But actually, that's the opposite of self-care, because how do you feel after you've been out? How do you feel after you've been drinking? You can have fun without all that. It took me years to realise that, unfortunately. You can connect with people without all that. You can do everything that you do when you're out there doing all that, but you don't need to, drink and put substances in your body that make you feel like crap for the rest of the week. So that's number 2. The third thing that we need to take care of is our stress levels. Now, stress is not necessarily a bad thing. Stress keeps us on our toes. Stress shows that we care about something. But it also reflects that we want our reality to be different than what's actually happening. Stress is what happens when we're trying to control our environment and we feel like we can't. So stress does cause anxiety. Stress causes poor sleep. Stress causes hormone fluctuations in both men and women. So, it can affect you on many different levels. It shuts off your immune system. It's an absolute demon for making you feel like crap. So what we need to do with stress is we need to make sure, number 1, that we've got good coping mechanisms and good ways of handling it, and number 2, that we are not trying to control everything around us. We're not obsessed with having control over our environment, because that is just going to create more and more stress. And it is easy to let go. Anyone can let go. You just have to really stop and think about how many of these things that you're getting stressed about are silly little rules that you've made up for yourself, and how many of them are actually really big things. And if they are really big things, can you do anything about that, or is it outside of your control? Always bring it back to what you can control, which is your thoughts, your actions right here and right now, and what you tell yourself about situations. Are you telling yourself stuff that makes you feel healthy and happy?